Hey, welcome back, Mad Max Studios. Pretty dry productions, of course. We're gonna go through just the buildup of this thing. I don't think I've went completely through everything that I've accomplished so far. So we're gonna start from one end, go to the other. This is probably 4 years in. Mad Max. He's went through a couple changes. We started with a stainless steel canister, added some air and some oil, burnt well. The fire extinguisher, it lasted about a year. It burnt through. We have now went with a stainless steel insides. That's stainless. These are the same. I got two made. You know, what's a stainless about? Not that much. It's about 6 inches, right? And there's we welded a bottom on it. And that's exactly what this is. That's the stainless steel pipe there. We put a bigger pipe on the bottom and insulated it with refractory, probably 1.5 inches around the bottom. I don't know if this is helping or not. And that keeps the heat in the bowl. And around the outside of this pipe, which is here, I've put this stainless steel mesh. I've welded it to each side and to the top. So in fact, there's about a 2-inch airspace all the way around the inside of the pipe. We welded a 3-inch, I don't know if this is going to work, a 3-inch something on the back, and we've attached some Z-Flex, which is a pellet stove pipe, stainless steel, of course, goes up, goes out. It's good for 300 C, 600 and change F. Just your plain old Z-Flex. Here's an inside of that. So that's a Z-Flex vent pipe, blah blah blah. There's a black high temperature gasket on the inside. Get them in different lengths, different elbows, and that's all it is. An elbow coming off the back, and it vents. We probably have 8 feet of rise and 6 feet of vertical. 6 feet of horizontal. So there's draft there yet. What else can we throw you? Here's just a blower fan that actually blows air into the back of the unit. This is probably pretty poor. And it blows it into that space around the unit, and then it blows it out through here, collecting the heat, pushing it out when you need it. There's a plug thing. Whatever. That's just for lighting. And yeah, that's it. Pretty basic. Stove with an airspace and a fan. This fan blows around the airspace, comes in the back, feeds the whole unit. So here's the pipe that comes through the stove. It's just a T, and that's feeding the air in, and the inside pipe, just a piece of refrigeration tube. It's not copper, it's steel, and it slides into this pipe, and it directs the oil down to the bottom where it drips out of here. I had this one blow out. Okay, so we'll try that again. This pipe feeds the oil pipe that runs all the way through. The outside one feeds the air. 3/4 inch pipe. That's pretty simple. And it feeds a tube, I guess. And it's a 3/4 inch. I would go with inch. There are 1, 2, 3 on the bottom, 3 or 4 on the sides, 4 on the bottom, 12 around there, and another about 100 holes coming up. Pretty simple, pretty easy. And that all fits together inside of, I don't know if I can get this on camera or not, but I have to put the union piece of brass in because it keeps falling out. This slides into that one. Hopefully easy today. Yeah, it's not going to go easy. Of course not. Anyways, that goes into there. And the air comes in. We've made a T. One end for the oil. Oil comes in and the air comes in on a T. It comes around to a sealed, hermetically sealed container, of course. And it comes into some fans. So there's 2 fans that feed one fan that kind of feed about 3 inches of water column into this pipe. And I've actually measured the water column with this unit here. 3 inches of water column is harder than you think to achieve with just fans. Here's one of them computer fans I'm talking about. It's got 2 fans in one fan, but it seems to make a little more pressure than just a simple old fan. So 2 of these feeding one of these, feeding that pipe. Yeah, filter's pretty important. That is that. We have a jug of oil. In our jug of oil we have a small fuel filter just to keep the big chunks out. And that comes back to a box, something like this. This is the fan for here. This is the start and run for the pump. And here is the whole ignition switch. That turns everything on. It turns our interval timer on, which delivers the oil in pulses. This is as complicated as it gets. Some power comes in. It gets into a 24 volt transformer. It goes to different things. This is 110. This is 24 volt. Yeah, we're gonna fix that all up later. But that controls the oil and the fan. This was for the fan, but we're using a different fan now. So it comes down to a pump. Actually, the oil comes through into a geared pump now. So we're using a geared pump to inject the oil into the stove. I have now put a check valve on there so I don't have to prime this thing every time it runs out. And it comes around as injected into here. Oh, what did I do? Through there, into that pipe, and gets fed down to the bottom and drips in there to the bottom of here. Geez, there's not much else I can tell you. It's a piece of pipe with a 3-inch off the back. I've been using a clear lid so I can see the burn quality. It seems to be holding up. And some little feet on the bottom. That is the anatomy of this whole thing. Quite simple, in fact. But yeah, air comes in the back. We're gonna fire this thing up and show you how it goes. Here's the bowl I went with. I think I've showed this in other videos. Stainless steel with some baffles cut and a little spacer in the bottom. Nothing too special. Smaller by a couple of inches around. It contains the heat to vaporize the oil. So we're just going to insert this feed pipe into the other pipe. It slides in there. I thought it slid in there a lot easier before, but it's proved me wrong again and again. And that's just a little seal so the oil goes to the bottom. Come on. Come on. Yeah, I don't know. That's usually easier. And then you just tighten the... what do we call this? We're going to call this a union. An easy airtight connection is what I call it. Heat resistant, easy airtight connection. We're going to straighten that out somewhat. We're going to align with our special aligning tool everything that needs to go in its place. And we'll see how that works. So I just cleaned this thing out. It'll burn 100 hours, but it does need to be cleaned. I'm going to introduce some diesel fuel. Oh shit, I spilled it all over the place. Put some diesel fuel in there. And I'm going to light this thing up with this. Start the air. I'm going to turn my light off. The light's quite easy. But that's diesel, right? I leave it cracked a little bit for the air. It's so cold that nothing burns right for a while. So that's burning on diesel. I've got the oil being introduced at a slow rate right now, and we'll see how that goes. So I don't know if we gotta watch this thing, but how about we go see some other stuff? It's starting, right? So some of my other ideas are introducing vegetable oil here. I'm going to introduce engine oil here, and I'm going to introduce diesel on this line, and they all feed through valves to the actual input of the stove. And when I'm doing that, I'm going to introduce more injections too. What I'm thinking of is making this thing burn steady on one and having another line on a thermostat, and when the thermostat calls for heat, it will pump in additional oil, and when the thermostat shuts off, the pump will shut off, and the other pump, just keeping it at idle, will idle. That's the new plan. Here's that interval timer. I don't know if you can see. It turns on, it turns off. There's a glare. So it's off. You can turn it on. And this one is set at open, set at 0.1 of a second. Closed, it will close the circuit for, let's reverse that. 4.1 seconds, it's not pumping. And open, it is open for 1 second. So that's going to drive the pump just enough fuel to keep this thing burning. That's the interval timer. It's, I don't know, it's $10 from Chinaland. Yeah, that's that. That's a new thing. I've tried some different bowls. This bowl worked really good wide open, but it didn't work very good idling. That one, I still got to give that one a chance. This actually was the bottom piece of this stainless steel pot, and it must have got 1300 degrees because it melted off. I've also tried some new inserts, different size holes, and in varying degrees they work and they don't. But different ideas, different things. This is what it's come to as of now.